What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 50 of Coffee with Den, the show where I have coffee with some of the denizens, or read things that are on Den, or talk about things that I haven't written on Den yet, but I might want to, or really it's about anything. So good morning. We do this every Wednesday morning about 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is right about now. And it's episode 50. That's cool. Round number. Half a hundo. And the topic that I went with was basically, it was rockets in reality, or fog rockets in base reality, or if it was an Ubuntu release, it might be a reality rocket as a release name. So we'll talk about, I went down and watched it. Well, tried to watch a SpaceX launch recently, but it was foggy as hell. It sounded awesome though. It was a Falcon Heavy. And so we got the boosters re-entering the atmosphere, creating sonic booms when they landed. So it sounded cool, and I was watching the dolphins, so no loss there. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about base reality and what that even is anymore. So let's bring up a couple of friends. We've got I Am for I Am, and it looks like Litecoin Lisa's here. Lisa Maida Davis in her secret agent outfit once again, so that's awesome. Hello, friends. What's up, fellow denizens? How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You know what? My day has started off with a hitch. I put tap water into my coffee maker.
Tap water,
so
not
I
that.
am full of fluoride. I am electrified.
Yeah, but your teeth are clean at least, right? Oh man.
And
see, that's a great way to start out, actually. Yeah, because like I enjoy reading about and talking to people about like things that may or may not be true, basically. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, the last couple of weeks I've been really trying to, I don't know if reach out is the right word, but politely debate with people just to see
antagonize,
where they're coming from. Maybe antagonize, maybe. But really, I want to see what makes them tick, and I don't understand certain things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, like I haven't done my research on the fluoride thing, to be honest with you. I don't remove it from my water. But I get.
I'll send you some of the emails that Uncle Cliff sent me about aspartame and fluoride.
Yeah. Now, aspartame I have had some experience with, because it gives me headaches if I have like chewing gum with aspartame in it. Isn't that the artificial sweetener thing?
Yes. Yeah.
That they use? Yeah. I'll like I was talking to one of my brothers, and I was like, man, I don't know. It's weird. I just get these headaches sometimes. And he's like, how long you been chewing that particular pack of gum? And I looked at it. I was like, fucking A, for about as long as I've been getting these headaches. Mm-hmm. And it was like an aspartame artificial sweetener gum. And I'm like, all right, okay, maybe. Now that's like a one-time anecdotal evidence experience. But what I'm trying to say is I understand where people come from when they question things. So, like, I'm not going to bash people for having a conspiracy theory. Well, but I will say,
I mean, there's congressional hearings where the CIA admits to things like Project Mockingbird. Mm-hmm. So then that validates people to be suspicious.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I mean?
I like, whenever, for me, one of the big, I don't know, I've always, since I can remember as far back as like the internet becoming available at home, that I was like looking up what other people think about stuff that's outside the scope of what is commonly believed, you know? Mm-hmm. So I've always sort of had an interest in that, you know what I mean? Like I was looking up theories on like the AIDS thing a long time ago. And there was all this weird supposed evidence about it being engineered and stuff like that. And it's interesting. At the very least, it's interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So, but it's hard to talk to anybody about anything if you can't establish that you're on the same planet, right? So what I try to do is I try to back out of the conversation little by little until we have the same viewport. And even that's difficult. Like I was talking to somebody yesterday on Twitter, admittedly. So I don't even know if they were a real person or a troll or what.
A bot?
It seemed to be either a highly advanced NPC or AI or an actual human being, one or the other. But it was about censorship, and it was about something I thought was common knowledge, right? That I didn't think was necessarily debatable. And it was the fact that Twitter and Facebook and most journalists completely, there was like a media blackout on the Hunter Biden laptop thing when it first dropped, right? When the New York Post published that article.
Right. Didn't want it to affect the election.
Yeah, right. So it was immediately blacked out because it was bad for one of the people running for office, but not the other, but one. Anyway, motivations aside, it happened. And I know it happened because I was there, and I literally was censored for trying to tweet something that wasn't even saying it was true. It was literally a link to the New York Post, a publication that's been around for ages. A link to the New York Post article to their official website where they published it, not me. And I asked a simple question. Hey, have you guys seen this thing about the stuff, or whatever I said? It was like a question. Hey, anybody, have you seen this shit? And immediately it was like, nope, not allowed to talk about that. It disappeared. It looked like I never even posted it. No evidence of it ever being there. No, this tweet was deleted. None of that. And apparently they were doing that in DMs. They were doing that on Facebook too. And if you look at what was put out on the media, people were talking about how it was Russian misinformation. It was a Russian campaign to yada, yada, right? And some of those outlets have even gone so far as to apologize for doing it, not just admit, but actually apologize for it. Oops. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did that. And still, I get people, one of my neighbors thinks it's a conspiracy theory still, that it's Russian misinformation, right? Still to this day. And the person I was trying to talk to yesterday, we initially were talking about the merits of censorship versus free speech. But we couldn't even talk about that without acknowledging that censorship exists, that it's a thing that exists,
Mm-hmm.
And she or he or whoever kept saying that what I was saying was a conspiracy theory, just conspiracy theories, right? And by the end of the back and forth, here's where I stopped. They posted something that was a bunch of conspiracy theories as an example of what they believe. Because I was like, we got to make sure we're on the same planet. What reality are you in? And they posted this stuff about how 9/11 was an operation to instill fear, and a bunch of actual conspiracy theories that may or may not be true. But I'm like, dude, how are you dismissing me for having a conspiracy theory based on what the parties themselves have actually publicly said they did do? And you're going to come back and be like, yeah, all this stuff that's plausible but not proven, I believe those conspiracy theories, just not yours. And so we never got anywhere. So we never even had the conversation. It's okay if you believe in censorship, right? I don't believe in it. If you're pro-censorship, let's have that conversation, right? But at least don't pretend like it doesn't exist. Take a side. Anyway, that's been bugging me. It's on my list of things that bug me that I came up with this morning. So I've got that out of the way. Thanks for listening to me rant a little bit.
I'm with you.
Oh, man.
I feel like we're in this alternative time zone too, though. Last night, I had a similar experience, but a little bit different. A lady that I have known, she's a former senator here in our state, and she helped me with my nonprofit stuff years ago. We were friends on Twitter and Facebook and all social media platforms. And when I was single, she even tried to hook me up with one of her friends and whatever. We are friends, acquaintances, whatever. And some jackass running for office is totally lying about the state of what's going on in Oklahoma. And he's jumping on the Carrie Lake thing. And he's like, oh yes, I'm fighting for no masks for children in Oklahoma too. And I was like, dude, we haven't had masks for children maybe for 6 months or 3 months or something. It's not a thing here. It's
not a thing. Yeah, there's some places just didn't do it the way that others did.
Constitutional governor, it's just not a thing. And so I saw her jumping on him too. Don't pull that crap, don't try to make Oklahoma look like that. And you're fighting for something that doesn't exist. It's like Joe Biden passing a law for to free people for felony possession of marijuana that doesn't exist.
Oh yeah, and there was nobody held, right?
Yes. Nobody was
There's nobody in prison for that right now.
Yes, nobody was in prison for felony possession of marijuana. But anyway, but she wasn't following me and I wasn't following her. So somehow we had magically been unfollowed. And then we start talking and she is like in support of the other, not Governor Stitt, the other person for governor. And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, why would you?
What's the series of events, the logic path that you took to have these particular things that you're
Who
for?
are you? And I'm like, you want that person? I was like, and she's like, well, he did a terrible job with our budget and he's trying to, he's bringing in outside people to Oklahoma, outside businesses to Oklahoma. I go, so he's bringing in jobs to Oklahoma? And she's like, yes. And I was like, that sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah, that sounds terrible, right? That sounds awful.
Then she's like saying, and I said, so but you want to support the lady that screwed up and misspent all the money for the schools that's in charge of the public schools? And I was like, she had one job. And well, technically that wasn't her fault. It did not, it's like we could not
like
conversation.
It's like you're moving the goalpost in real time. You're dynamically moving what you're like, that's okay because
what applied to him didn't apply to her.
And like it's okay to change your mind and to think about things, it's not always a contest of like, it's not like a scored debate on stage. You're not trying to win points to where like the judges pick who won.
No, and this is somebody I really respect. Yeah. And so I was genuinely like, I wasn't trying to fight. I just genuinely was like, hey, break this down for me. What am I missing here? Like just trying to have a real conversation.
And people get mad. People get angry.
No, they'd rather you fight them.
That's kind of like my answer to your post. No,
yeah, it was just.
We're going to argue about this, and I'm going to be right. And you're going to listen. I'm going to dominate this conversation.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I am left a reply to today's post. Ooh. It's not that long. Let me read it real quick. I thought it was great.
Oh, I want to.
Just wait a minute. Are you asking me to compromise my belief system so I can have a conversation with you? I'd rather argue, or better yet, step outside to face you man to man. And let the one with the biggest muscles use brute force to settle who's right and who's wrong. To hell with rational thought, checked emotions, and big brain bullshit. Let's just shut up and listen to me. I'm always right. Therefore, I will dominate the discussion, and it'll be more like me telling you what fors, and my army is bigger than your army, so I'll pound you into submission and change your way of thinking, even if it takes the threat of nukes or nukes. That's my political and diplomacy method. Whoever needs to establish common base realities is weak. That's kind of what I see a lot.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside. That's kind of my like what I'm receiving from so many people on all over the place, And I see people doing flavors of the same shit on both sides too. Like, For me, I think it's ridiculous that like one side wants to ban books and the other side wants to censor the internet. And it's kind of like both. It's like the internet's just fancy books, really, Right. and so it's the same shit kind of.
Yeah. You also get it a different way rather than say, flexing the muscles and bullying the conversation. It's a different method. It's like, well, I have 5 degrees from Princeton, Yale, and Harvard, and you're just a dumbass shit.
Yeah. Oh man, you just reminded me of. I was in the Navy. I was out at sea, and what I would do sometimes is I would get done with my shift. It would be like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then I would be wide awake because I've been drinking coffee to stay up till 2. So I need to settle down a little bit. And so I would go up to the pilot house, and then I would go out to the bridge wing, which is up high, and then there was bridge wings left and right that each had a lookout. right? So I'd go outside on the bridge wing, and I think I was there with my buddy Vladimir, really interesting person, Russian, who was still a Russian citizen but serving in the U.S. Navy, which I'd learned that was a thing. Yeah, oh yeah, totally. It accelerates your green card application. He was applying for citizenship. Or not your green card application, your citizenship application. He had a green card, but was accelerating his citizenship. Anyway, that's not part of the point. The point is, I had a weapons officer who was a complete dumbass, who thought he was the smartest motherfucker around. And me and Vlad, just a couple of nobodies out there, you know what I mean? We have these thing called the big eyes, which if you've ever gone to the beach or something and they have the things, you put a quarter in it and it has giant binoculars so you can look at stuff. So we had like a super military version of that for the lookouts. So you could see way out in the horizon. Like if there's a ship coming over the horizon, you'll see like the mast. You'll see the tip of the mast, and you'll see it slowly grow as it comes over the edge. You know, that kind of thing. Really great things.
Oh, now you're saying the world is round.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. And so we figured out though, you could point these things up and look at the stars.
Oh,
and it was
cool.
Powerful enough to where we saw the rings of Saturn, just barely, but you could see the rings of Saturn. And he was like, check this out, man. You can see Saturn tonight. And I was like, no way. And so I'm checking out Saturn. He's checking out Saturn. Obviously, it's Saturn. You ever look at planets in the solar system and have a hard time figuring out which one's Saturn? No, it's obvious, right? So dumbass comes out and starts arguing with us that that's not Saturn, right? And we just look at each other and we're like, no, that's Saturn. That's definitely Saturn. And he's like, no, because this constellation's over here and yada, yada, yada. And I'm a naval line officer, so I know how to navigate by the stars and yada, yada. And we're like, yeah, that's great. But I'm sorry, you're just wrong about this one. You must be, misoriented. And he's like, do you have a degree in theoretical? What do you have a degree in? Do you have a degree in, I think he said theoretical physics or theoretical something. I don't know. Some fancy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, no, because we're enlisted and we don't have degrees. But like, that's also Saturn, regardless of your degree, bro. Like, I'm sorry, sir, but you're wrong, sir. And so we have this weird situation where we're like, this is a superior officer. We can't be that rude because we work for him and he'll make our lives miserable. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and accept that I'm not looking at what I'm looking at, So some people you just can't establish a base reality with because they have to be right no matter what.
That's I wrestle with this whole point that you're making for the topic for the show today is it worth it sometimes to try to find common ground and to have a conversation, a discussion with the individual? Or is it worth it is time better spent to just move on?
Move on.
I don't know, because we've had, through the gingivitis outbreak, we have had significant change in our friendships and whatever, to the point where like my little boy that just turned 12 had a birthday party and he's like, I really want to see our friends that, we haven't seen in so long. And why won't they talk to us? And why won't they call us? And I was like, well, because in July of 2020, we went to their house, or would it be 2019? I don't know when it first happened. And they had a big cookout and party and fajita bar thing, but they're all doctors. Speaking of, don't you know my degree and
that sort of attitude. Yeah.
Yes. And they, she's from Brazil. And so she kissed me on the mouth like she always does. And then all the children are sticking their hands in all the food and sliming it all over the face. And everybody's like, we do this all the time. It's totally normal. And then we sit down at the table and we're like, yeah, this is bullshit, and they're like, oh no, it's real. And you guys better all go get a job because these vacations are necessary. And I'm like, you guys are nuts. This is crazy. And so we don't talk for like 2 years.
And that's the part that bugs me.
But then she comes to the birthday party, and now it's been 2 years, and now the results are coming out, and she's like, oh, this stuff is crazy. And now all these people are sick that did that and got a job and blah, 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 blah. And my husband and I are looking at each other like we are on another planet. And I'm like, so you didn't talk to us for 2 years. And now you're saying exactly what we were saying at that table. And it has been so hard.
It's ruined
relationships and all of that. But it's an alternate reality that a lot of us have experienced, because I'm like, do you not remember like shunning me for 2 years, and now you're saying exactly what I was saying and why you didn't talk to me for 2 years?
Yep, I've experienced similar things. So I wanted to real quick interrupt and say John's here.
Hi, John.
John, good morning, sir.
Good morning. I made it.
Good to see you.
I had an opportunity to meet up with John in real life yesterday. He came into town and we went to, hey, how's your laptop?
It works.
Oh, good.
Yeah, David was telling me, he's like, yeah, apparently this is a thing that actually happens. And it was like a permissions issue.
Okay. That's what I started to suspect.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was like it only let me type for admin rights, but then for everything else, it's like, oh, you're not an admin, so you can't.
Yeah. John had a problem with his computer where his keyboard worked only in the times that he didn't need it, really.
It works.
System reason stuff. Yeah. Logging in. That's it. Once you log in, no more.
The computer genius.
Yeah. But he took it over to, if you've ever seen the background of Gravity Crab's.
Oh,
he's always in his shop or whatever. So we went to, the three of us got together, brought John's laptop over to David's shop.
Did you
it sounds like you got it fixed
while
up.
You were together?
No, complete failure on that part. Yeah.
We were just enjoying each other's company. I will say also, it was probably one of the nerdiest conversations that I knew nothing about. We're all like spitballing different ideas of what it could be, and I'm like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because I used to work with him, and I had a computer repair shop in High Springs, and that's how I met him. Actually, was I hired him to help me fix shit. Mm-hmm. And so like it was just natural to slip back into like looking up things on the internet to be like, could it be this? Could it be that? Thinking about, like, so we were just like trading blows on what it might be for a little while in front of John there. But no, it was cool. It was good stuff.
There's do you know about discrimination happening on this screen? I just noticed that the two individuals that happen to be a little bit older than the two of the other individuals who happen to be wearing sunglasses are on one side of the screen, and the other individuals
we are on the cool side. I am.
Yeah, you guys are on the right, and we're on the left.
Yeah.
It actually is kind of.
We're on the
probably
cool
is.
Side, I am.
So I need to dominate this discussion now from this point forward until I have to leave in like 3 minutes.
And those are his verification. This is our degree. These are
our
verification skills.
Is that what Karl Marx looks like? That dude?
It's a doppelganger for Karl Marx. Yes.
Was there? I don't even know. I don't know any Marxist history. Was he alive at the same time photographs existed?
Yes.
Okay.
If you brave search Karl Marx doppelganger, this individual will pop up, who might be me.
Might be. Yeah. It fits the trend of like Jerry Garcia looking motherfuckers that you've had on there. Yeah.
So I gotta say, when I went to the shop, it was a lot of fun. They were all talking nerd shit. My favorite part was a guy named John.
John,
Rowley. And he was maybe one of the more fun individuals. Just mid conversation, he'll look at me, open his desk drawer, and be like, "You hungry?" And he just has a stash of food there. That's
piles of chocolate bars and stuff. Yeah,
like mid conversation about my computer, and just like look at me and just be like, "You hungry?" And then another time later, mid conversation, like Dave and David are going back and forth about what it could be and whatever else, and talking about some computer, and he's just like printing something out. I'm like, oh, he's working because he works at the shop. He's printing something out, takes it out, puts it in a manila folder, and then goes to hand it to me, but before he hands it to me, he pulls out the top so I can see the title of the first page. He's like, "This is a short story that I wrote on the bus ride to school when I was in 11th grade.
What?
Here you go."
Yeah. Yeah, wasn't it like Conan the Barbarian fanfic or something?
It's kind of like that. It's not a fanfic.
Oh, okay. It's not
That's
fanfic, but it's
cool.
in. Oh, it was like in that vein of fiction. I
Yeah.
see.
And he's like, "Yeah, I had to write. The assignment was to write a 2 to 3 page short story, and I wrote 11 pages on the way to school that morning."
You should transcribe that to the fiction layer.
It sounds
Actually,
like he's a fan of yours, and he was trying to like connect with you.
He's genuinely a nice guy to everybody.
He's just super nice. But I love how he'll stop dead in the middle of a conversation. Like other people are just talking away, and he'll just do a thing and then hand it to you.
Sometimes it is relevant though. Like we like to talk about old video games and stuff, or like back in the day when you used to be able to buy stuff in physical media where there's like touchy-feely parts where you can look at the artwork and the books and stuff. And that's what we were talking about the last time I was over there. And he comes up with this stack of like old Mac OS games that are like boxed video games that are basically like tabletop RPGs, but on a computer, and just like awesome stuff. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what we're talking about. I think he just has a lot of stuff.
It's always relevant or adjacent. Like it's like we were talking about science fiction movies and fantasy, and then he's like, "Here's a short story fantasy I wrote when I was in like 11th grade." It's like, "Here you go."
Okay.
Or like we're talking about photography. It's like, "Here's a picture of a Pontiac I have," and it's just like, okay. And it's like, it's just the most interesting. He just has a thing physical somewhere always to show you, and it was
He must be very like visual, like a visual learner or something.
Yeah.
and just so nice.
Part of his, yeah.
Not had a smile. He never not had a smile.
That's
Giant
cool that he wants to share that with you, though.
Yeah.
I think they have a great vibe. They have like a live webcam with somebody that's in a different country that just has a bunch of hummingbird feeders. There's always a bunch of hummingbirds on it. So like you'll see the person coming up to like refill the hummingbird feeders and stuff. It's just like, for atmosphere, I guess. And they're just tinkering with people's laptops and complaining about how much cigarette smoke is in this dirty machine they have to fix or whatever it is, that kind of thing.
Funny.
I thought the two of them were so fun because like David's just this like super energetic young guy who manages the shop, and John is just like the quirky guy who's been there so long that you can't fire him. But he also,
come on,
like,
that's unfair.
Well, no, he also like knows, like he just. I feel like David was running around working on everything, and John just was like kind of slowly going from one thing to the other.
Well, what
it was the cutest thing. I would love to see a TV show about the two of them.
Yeah, he's. I would say he's got a cute is a good descriptive word for his personality type. Like he's a swell guy. But I called up one time. He's really good at looking up specific problems to see if there's like a known issue with that. Because I remember one time I was like, yeah, I got this, this year MacBook that has this specific problem. And he's like, hang on, let me look in this database of knowledge real quick. And I'm like, oh yeah, that year there was a recall for this one cable that was doing exactly that. It's probably yada, yada, yada. So he's good on definitely good on that kind of stuff,
Well, y'all, I need to take off. I'll be listening in the car. Remember.
All right, Carl.
Carl with a cape.
You're gonna leave me here with these whippersnappers?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Keep your sunglasses on, Lisa.
I will. All
right.
Thanks, Ian.
Hug someone you love. Hug someone you know.
Hug someone you don't love.
And hug someone you hate, and then hit them back. I don't know. All right. Hey, we'll see you guys. Take care.
Bye, dude.
I would love to have that be a real Karl Marx quote. Hug someone you love, hug somebody you know, hug somebody you don't know, hug somebody you don't like, but then hit him in the face. Sounds like Karl Marx. Yeah, that's great. I love how he was like, I only got 3 minutes here, so I'm going to talk as much as I can. And then I was like, nope, I'm going to talk.
Yeah. Oh, you're on a timeline? Let me just not let you get through that.
Let me fix that for you.
So let's see. I guess Lisa's outie. I also wanted to mention that fog is really cool, except when you don't want it. I went to a rocket launch yesterday, drove 3 hours out to Kennedy Space Center to see the Falcon Heavy launch. And it was an amazing, spooky Halloween atmosphere. But it was at the wrong time because I wanted to see the damn rocket launch. I didn't see anything. But SpaceX had a pretty good video up. Let me pull that up. I want to show you how foggy it was. Completely just changing the
it messed my camera up and everything.
Oh man, it moved, it rotated. Yeah.
It chose a different camera, and now my other camera says it's
interesting.
It's not working. I don't know. Oh, all the things lately.
I think it's so cool that they're still able to shoot the rocket off, even though it's so foggy. Like you can't see.
Look how much you can't see. You can barely see it there, And I wanted to watch Falcon Heavy because it has been like a year and a half or more. I don't know. It's been a while since the Heavy launched. And it's basically, it's a Falcon 9 with designed with 2 other boosters on the side of it. Kind of like Kerbal Space Program. If you ever played that, you just slap more boosters on it and you're good. But we ended up just watching. There was a lot of dolphins like schooling around right in front of us. We were at the coast. But yeah, look at the camera here. It's like, here's the view. But what we did get was really cool sound effects. So who knows? Maybe that was fake because we didn't get to see it. Maybe this is all just CGI, right? Because we were there, we didn't see anything. We just heard a bunch of sound effects. They had giant speakers.
You couldn't even see that?
Couldn't even see that, no. Because we were across the bay. This camera's right there on it. And it clears up once it gets above the cloud line there. But you can just see how thick the fog and clouds are as it goes up. And then something that I really wanted to see was the 2 boosters. They come back down and land on land again where it started, which is something that's never been done before the Falcon Heavy. And I didn't get to see it, but we did hear the sonic booms where it re-entered and slowed down like through the sound barrier. And man, it was super cool. So if you ever have a chance to go see one of those, they've got like January, they have 2 more launching in January. So if you're anywhere near Kennedy Space Center and it happens to line up, I'll be back down there. Hopefully it's more clear. Let me fast forward this real quick because I want to show you how these things, if you've never seen it before, it is just the coolest thing that I've seen in a long time. Boom, here we go. So here they are on the left, you've got a camera pointing at the sky. And on the right, you've got your 2 different boosters with cameras. They come back down, they reignite, and they land right back on a launch pad back at Cape Canaveral, back at Kennedy Space Center.
That just looks like a reverse video.
Yeah, you just reverse the video, right? Yeah. Boom. And it's great. It's software and automation and probably a little bit of AI by now. But it's all automated, computer controlled. Super cool. They were launching, speaking of conspiracy theories, they were launching a secret mission from the United States Space Force. They actually weren't allowed to show after the second separation. They were like, at the request of the customer, we're not going to show
the customer
the package. Yeah, United States USSF, United States Space Force was the customer. They were putting something up there, putting up a secret satellite, and they weren't allowed. SpaceX says they weren't allowed to show it after booster second stage separation. Normally they'll show like the payload and stuff, but they were like, nope, can't show it. Space Force shit. So there you go. Get the conspiracy gears turning on that. I'm excited to see what people come up with because I know that because they didn't show it, and because they said they weren't allowed to show it, and because it was a Space Force thing, that there's going to be conspiracy theories about it. So I'm interested to know what those are. Hopefully some show up in the conspiracy layer.
I've got one.
Okay.
I think it's just garbage. I think it's just like, I think it's some shit they fucked up. Or maybe it's like some guys.
On his laptop.
They got to get rid of evidence. Yeah.
It's just old laptops, or some guys like shit, like he got divorced and it's his wife's stuff and he's pissed off and he just put it in a rocket and shot it off into space because he could. Something like that. I think it's something really trivial and does not matter.
It's all those
laser beams. It's like, nope. It's just a lot of waste is what it is.
It's all those books they've been taken out of the school libraries. They're just going to blast them into the sun. That's how they do it.
They're all on Kindle now. Who cares?
Yeah, that's the thing. Electronic copies of books.
Yeah, I always love that. It's like we're gonna ban these books in our school library, which is like I think 99% of the time is stupid. But then it's like you do realize that in the library there's an internet connection, right?
This is also true. Yeah.
And like I was getting around firewalls and whatever else, like website blockers when I was in high school.
We felt like lead hackers, right?
Did we ever
I know how to get around the firewall.
Did we ever have a show about that?
No, I don't think so. You mean about like high school computer labs?
Yeah. How did you used to get around like the website blockers and stuff?
Let me think.
And now, Lisa, you can watch out for your kids and you know what websites to block so they can't.
Yeah, I don't know. At one point, I know that like.
I don't have to worry about it. I'm homeschool.
I remember that like when Java came around, there was this big thing where like you could. And actually, no, it wasn't even Java. It was just iframe. Anyway, there was like websites where you could go. And there's like a frame inside the website that gave you a different browser and you could browse through that frame. And it was like a VPN, basically. Like you'd go through a different. So the school's firewall thought you were just looking at some random website. But inside the website, it was browsing to other websites kind of thing. I think I remember doing that. But I don't know if that was like later. I don't know. Timelines in my head. I don't know when that was. But I want to say probably that. But also I had a computer at home, so I didn't care as much at school.
Yeah, but so like if you wanted to like listen to music or go to MySpace or Facebook or some shit like that, you had to have a way, right? So
well, not in high school because I didn't have MySpace or Facebook. They didn't exist yet.
Well, you know what? It did when I was a kid. So
okay. Yeah. But yeah, there was like hidemyass.com was one of them. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Hide My Ass? Yeah. Is where you could hide your IP address or like get around sensors, that kind of thing. People would use that in the Navy from the ship's computers, actually. The hide my ass or unblock my IP or whatever, that kind of stuff.
Like a reverse VPN.
Yeah, basically it's like tunneling through another website server, which is
using
just
a sock?
Proxy. Using a sock, yeah.
I'm learning these things.
Yeah, socks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we call them proxies, I guess.
So that's literally what I used to do is I would Google proxy server.
Yeah.
And click on that. And then I would use that. Mm-hmm. And it was so easy. It was I was friends with the guy who at my school who was like the technology person who ran all their like servers and did all like their web security and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, I can go to those sites. He's like, no, you can't. I blocked them. They're blocked. You can't go to them.
Can't go. They're blocked.
Okay. And I was like, come here. And then I showed him the site. He's like, how did you do this? I was like, I'm not going to tell you.
I'll tell you for money.
Well, that's what, speaking of the conspiracy theory and what planet you live on.
Yeah.
Like, so I see these promoted tweets. I don't know if you guys pay attention to your promoted tweets, but
I look at trending and stuff sometimes.
Trending, a little different, but so I think they send messages in some of the promoted tweets.
Oh yeah.
And they were doing these cat socks. And then I started looking up this thing about socks and learned that what socks are in computer language.
With computer stuff. Yeah.
And what the cats are they like these satellite things or have something to do? There's some cat thing in a satellite or cat.
When I think of cat, I think of like Ethernet cables, category Cat 5, Cat 6, that kind of thing.
So it has
There
something.
probably is an acronym with satellite somewhere about
yeah,
cats.
it has something to do with these satellite things, and then the sock is like a way to hide or covering of, and so it made me think about like Killery's. That's how they were like hiding their servers and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, got you. Yeah, like what's weird is there are people don't think of it.
And that was right before they had the big WikiLeaks dump. Recently, that all
there was a recent one.
Promoted tweets. Yes, just the other day.
Oh, really? I have to look out. Thank you for that. I'll look it up. Make it here.
Hey, man in a hammock. Are you in for cats or socks? What do you like better?
Cats.
More of a cats person.
Hi, man in a hammock.
The man in the hammock says,
"Is that a cat hat? A caterpillar hat?"
No.
No. Okay, that would be great though.
It's a beer hat.
It's a brewery hat.
What was I about to?
Perfect morning attire.
Yeah.
Cats.
Man in a hammock distracted me. I had something, but that's fine. It wasn't very good actually.
I'm from the deep state.
Yeah, deep state hammock guy. Okay, yeah, conspiracies. So,
yeah,
you know what I wrote down this morning? Sometimes I've been writing these little lists in the morning, like whatever I'm
maker down.
Like the first time I did it was like shit that scares me, because I was reading the news that morning, so it scared me. Yes, last week it was where's the line? Like questions I had about like where's the line. And John, you had a good answer for one of them that we couldn't answer last week because I asked the question. And it's a question I don't know the answer to, but where's the line between a successful cult and religion? And I was like, I actually don't know where the line is. But John, you want to?
Yeah, it was how easily you can leave. Is the
how easily you can leave? And I thought that was pretty good. If you can't leave, it's probably a cult. If you can leave, maybe it's a religion. That's probably an accurate line.
Well, I think you could also be like, if you wanted to be even more with it, you could be like a cult and a religion are the same. And then like there's like a club. If you want to just be like, because like I would say like a religion could just be a club. So there's no difference between like a cult and the difference between a cult and a club, and then a religion is a club.
I'm thinking we need like a Venn diagram with 3 circles, basically, is what we need here.
And where they overlap. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's Scientology is that middle part.
The middle part, yes, all 3. I this week I wrote down some things that annoy me, and I won't go through all of them because there's quite a few. But so like one of the things that bugs me with, and this is related to Den, is like there's a bunch of things that obviously we need. Like if you look at the list of development priorities, there's a pretty solid roadmap of work there that needs to get done, and we've got a limited, development hours are a very limited resource, and we even share some between like customers with Dragon Chain sometimes if we need to work on stuff there versus Den. So it's a little bit of a juggling act and scheduling routine. And because I know like how much time really it would take to do certain things, because we have to usually like do them in a hurry. Well, I can see like one dev doing quickly, I look at other software companies and how much resources they have. And when they don't fix little things that are like glaring problems, like your laptop, for example. The problem with your laptop was that when Apple pushed out the update, I talked to David a little bit about this yesterday or this morning or something. They pushed out the update and it marked the keyboard drivers. It installed them as root, admin privileges only. So the regular user, desktop user, couldn't use that particular piece of hardware, which happened to be your keyboard. And like to allow like a system breaking bug like that to go out, like that's the one thing I think Apple's really got going for them is they have specific models, right? It isn't like Windows where they have to code for everything that somebody could possibly throw in there. Well, no, you only have specific models that have specific hardware in it. You know what's in there, and you can test your few devices that you have. So it was like a weird like software thing that should have never happened, and then it wasn't even acknowledged or remedied because apparently a lot of people are having the issue. But then also like video games, man. I was playing Civilization this weekend, and it just crashes sometimes. Civ 6 just crashes sometimes. It just does. And And it's just like, you look in the community forums and they're like, yeah, well, they introduced an autosave feature so that when it crashes, you only lose one turn. You can just pull it right back up. And that was the fix. Like, this is Sid Meier's Civilization 6. Like, they've got devs, they've got a budget, they can make it not explode, you know, but they just don't. Or Bethesda's notorious for like the modding community going and fixing all the bugs for them. So that's something that annoys me. Just going off on software, man.
Okay, wait. So was this a list of software companies that annoy you?
No, well, this is just things that annoy him.
That was one of the things that annoy me.
All be software related.
Yeah. And then like money. Right? What's up with that? Money's annoying.
Yes.
Isn't money annoying?
We gotta focus this. We gotta
money enslaves people. I agree with you. Now you're on my.
No, I'm done talking about software. Now we're talking about money, which is the same thing sometimes these days.
Yes, I agree.
Especially
like Powell is involved.
The Man in the Hammock and I watched a like, what was it, 45-minute documentary, not documentary, but like video on like microtransactions in video games.
Oh yeah.
And so there's one that's like $40,000.
That's a microtransaction?
It's one microtransaction, right? Which is kind of big. It's $40,000 and you get like every ship in the game. But like
Star Citizen. Is it Star Citizen?
Yeah. But like, first of all, I don't even know what that game is. Do you just fly around?
You just fly around. Yeah, you fly around. That's the whole. So the game's been in development for like a decade or more than 10 years, even. I don't know. And right now they got a very good working model of flying around in a fake ship. That's what you got
for $40,000.
Well, this is where, you know, Lisa, we talk about where the line is with like software being a security that the SEC goes after versus it just being a video game or something.
Yes.
So what Star Citizen has done is they have funded their company with the sales of these like ships and stuff. You know what I mean? And they've made a scarcity model where there's only so many ships, and if you crash it, it's actually crashed unless you have an insurance plan. Like, it's a whole monetization thing around fake ships. But like, I don't know.
I heard somebody doing that with horses, with the horse racing thing. Like there's digital horses, and they even have like a breeding program and
there is.
And
yeah.
Like, and they don't exist, but it's digital.
Yep. But you can breed them, and you can sell them, and you can lease them or rent them out to people that want to digitally race them. And there's a whole thing. It's like, I mean, that's been a thing for a long time. Second Life, you know, the metaverse, that kind of thing.
That just sounds like that sounds like an NFT. That sounds like a NFT or a cryptocurrency thing where like, look at all these things you can do with the stuff, but then there's no utility to it.
Well, that's literally what the horse thing is an NFT breeding game. So, yeah.
If only like the only way you could like, if you own a horse, there's no gas fees when you trade. Like, that'd be cool.
A reason to have it. Yeah.
Like, you need that. It's like, I agree. Something. You start with a carrier pigeon, and then you work your way up to like tubes.
Make it do something.
I don't know why tubes are the best way to send things.
John fell down.
Yeah, well, now we have some entertainment.
Man on the ground and man in the hammock.
Hey, man in the hammock, what's the best way to send something? Carrier pigeon's a good one.
Carrier pigeons works out. Carrier pigeons a good one.
Ask Mike Tyson.
It's already been said.
Mike Tyson would agree. Carrier pigeon. So I only have like 5 minutes, but I'm really curious what your thoughts are on MakerDAO and the dead co-founder and the vote happening like around the same time.
I don't have a developed opinion on that. I'd have to look it up. I like MakerDAO as a like that's one of the OG use cases for this whole explosion, this post Bitcoin, what else can you do with it thing. MakerDAO is great because I remember I was into like 3D printers and hacker spaces. Did you know about
the big vote that was happening though?
No, and I have to look it up.
So the co-founders were about to vote.
I do know something about that.
And one was going to, one wanted to go back to ETH, and one wanted to go more USDC.
Yeah, the USDC thing. They were like, and
Mhm.
Coinbase was involved somehow. Is that
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Mhm. And one dude ended up drowning in Puerto Rico.
So I don't know much about that, but
And it went the Coinbase way.
it went the Coinbase way. Of course it did. I know that in tech, it's weird. Shit like that happens all the time. Like
Really?
the Facebook acquisition of Oculus Rift, the 3D goggle or the VR headset
Mhm.
thing. So like the dude that really invented it, that was behind it, like I don't think he wanted to sell it or something, right? But then he just got ran over on his bicycle one day and he was gone. So then that problem was out of the way. Shit like that happens where it's like, the timing is just
Yeah.
super weird.
Yeah.
Or like the MakerDAO thing, right? If he drowned in a time where he was the stick in the mud where they couldn't get, through him, maybe,
And
it
2
definitely
days
calls into
before
question.
he
like,
tweeted out that the CIA was going to kill him, and his girlfriend put child porn on his computer, and
well, that's unfortunate.
like I'm not suicidal.
And that happens, right?
up
You
dead.
see
Yeah.
journalists, like, hey, if I get, if I commit suicide, I didn't, and then they commit suicide. Are they fucking with people, or
I
is there
know.
something going on here? It's like you
It's
can't really.
It's
I
hard
don't
to ever
know.
know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
because then I think it was somebody said because we were talking about it on my show, and somebody was talking about, no, that part of Puerto Rico, there really are serious rip tides or whatever it's called, where there's a really strong undertow.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, but so does do things have to be mutually exclusive? Was he taken there because of that, or
It can go both ways. I can
Yeah.
see
You know
it
what I'm
going
saying?
both ways. Like, is it really an accident because that shit does actually happen there, or was he taken there because that shit happens
Because
there,
that
so
shit
it looks like
happened.
an accident?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things we just
And
might
will
not
we
ever
ever know?
know.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
that's
I've got
my
a theory.
opinion, is that it's okay if we don't know. I don't know.
I've got a theory. I think it's all part of a cult. I think they're all in the same.
Not a club.
I think all these people are in the same cult. And then they tried to leave, and that's how they knew it was a cult. That's what it is.
Because they couldn't leave.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I guess you don't find out until it's too late, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some crazy DAO cult that all of them are a part of. There it is. Or that's wrong. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's a DAO is a club, and a club overlaps a cult on that Venn diagram somewhere, right? So it's in there.
How easy it is to leave.
Yeah. Sorry, Lisa. I don't know. I have to look more into that.
Yeah, I was just curious what your thoughts were on it, because I was seeing
Wow.
I was reading Twitter, and you were kind of seeing both sides of it,
Yeah. I know it's plausible. Like I would say anecdotally, it's plausible that somebody killed him. I wouldn't dismiss that.
Mhm.
I would but that takes a lot of
But
you
in
need
a
a lot
DAO,
of
the vote
things.
already happened. Let's say somebody did, just if in a DAO structure, the vote happens, he's dead, so he couldn't vote. The other guy had, because of that, his votes don't show up in the thing. The other guy had 63% of the vote then, because the other co-founder had such a large.
He had delegated governance. Like if he didn't vote and it timed out, it went to him, kind of thing. Maybe how it's.
I guess I don't know.
But
yeah, you're using all computer words or whatever, but however it worked, he had that. What they said when I read the article, they said that the vote went through, and the one guy, the one co-founder that was still alive, ended up with 63% of the vote, and so it went to Coinbase, and then everybody else was there. But if the alive guy, it was my understanding, was there, it would have been different. Or
sounds like your alarm
could have been different.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll look into it. I know on Den, the way that our DAOs work is if you don't vote within a certain period of time, it takes the people who did vote and it makes that the 100%. Like here's 100% of who voted.
Okay.
And then it looks from that point, it looks to see who won. that kind of thing, right? So you don't necessarily have to get. I can see that work if their dials, if their governance works the way ours does, which it might. I don't know, maybe not though. Then the person who died would have timed out, and then at that point, the system would have looked at who did vote, and he probably had 63% overall among those who did vote.
So then, in the case of finding criminal negligence later, could a vote be reversed? Would you have to re-vote? I mean, what happens? Like,
it depends on their rules.
Too bad.
It could be just too bad. So if you're a purist, like if you're a maximalist, if you're like a like cultist about it, then the vote is the vote. Like it's done, and that's kind of the point of a DAO. Is like once something passes, the system automatically does the thing. There is no reversing it. That kind of thing, right? So it just all depends on how they're set up.
That makes it like a really dangerous world.
You can always vote to change things later too, though. It's not like it passed, you can never vote again. Like the one dude, if he's literally like I don't like playing with like real hypotheticals, but I guess this is a real hypothetical where like, okay, this guy actually there is like criminal elements here, and this was like not a fair vote or whatever. You can always have another vote for a thing. Especially, and then like hypothetically, the other guy could be stripped of his votes, so therefore it's up to the rest of the governing body, which is still who it should be up to.
But I don't know that you can, because sometimes things can't be like if you move MakerDAO all to USDC, can you then move it back to ETH?
You can theoretically, sure. But the problem you have is if that person has 63% now because the one guy's out and his coins are lost and his voting is lost, then you never get it back. Then if the person who has 63% of the vote is nefarious, or if everybody disagrees with that one person, but they still have 63% of the vote, they don't have to be nefarious. They just have to disagree. Then no, there's not really any getting it back unless that person sells their stake or something, right? So I know on Den we voted to like undo a previous vote before or to modify a previous vote. So you can do that if it passes, but you got to have the people voting to agree. Like if you think about now, I've only seen this happen in Western films and stuff, but I imagine it was a real thing. People making someone sign property rights over under duress, like in the Wild West, that kind of thing, right? Hold them at gunpoint, sign this title, and then they take it to the courthouse and it's legally mine, right? But I'm sure that shit happens.
So if you're signing a contract under duress, it makes you legal. It makes the contract null and void, though. If you're being forced to sign something with a gun to your head.
Yes, it does. If you speak up and say I was under duress. But if they're like, I'm going to kill your whole family if you speak up and say that you're under duress, maybe you won't speak up. And then after a while, if you change your mind, maybe statutes of limitations have expired.
I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on people trying to kill you.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there is. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think that's a thing.
No, I'm not a lawyer. That's a great quote. I gotta leave.
I don't think for murder there is.
Down this rabbit hole.
See you, Lisa.
Have a great morning, guys. Bye.
Yep, anytime. Because you hear about people getting like picked up with genetic evidence 30, 40 years after the fact, so there probably is not a statute of limitations when it comes to murder. You're right.
No. And it's kind of like how like Senate voting is though too, where it's like you can make modifications and you can like change things, all that like and stuff like that. But like, people have to show up to vote for it. You still have to have a certain number of votes. And
yeah, it's wild to me that we only get like 30% of people to vote overall, kind of thing. Like it's pretty low.
And like the crazy thing to me is like one reason is because they don't want to be on record, which is what it is. And then two, it's usually because they're out campaigning or they're out trying to make money so they can run. You're talking about like senators?
No, I'm talking about citizens not voting just in general. Yeah.
I was talking about
presidential or local races are even worse. You don't get a very good cross section of the population because people just don't vote.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but I don't think it's because of people don't want to. I think it's more we make it as fucking hard as possible too.
Yeah, that's true.
We were talking about this like I think a couple of weeks ago, where like in the EU, like you have the day off,
or it's on a Sunday or something, or it's on or whatever it is. Yeah, but you have the day off.
Yeah, or like no mail-in. Like there's certain states where like they're like mail-in ballots are a pain to get or a pain to send back, or you have to like request a mail-in ballot like months ahead of time and stuff like that. Like, we don't make it easy to vote in certain states. And if you look at those states, it's usually a red state.
And it's harder for people that are not well off to vote. That's how it's designed. Like people that have flexibility in their employment, or are retired or whatever. All those people have all the time to go out on a Tuesday and vote.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and you just can't leave your job because you got to eat, well, you might not make it to the polls, or it's at least more difficult for you to.
No, we make it. It's just,
especially if you don't have a car. Like if you have to take public transit to get to the voting place, like, I got to get you can't fit that into a lunch break from work, that kind of thing.
I don't know. I love it. Every year I say I'm not going to vote, and every year I do vote. It's fun. I'm like, this is stupid. Everything's fucked up, and what's the point of being a part of it? And then I'm going to go vote.
Yeah. I also have people that tell me they're not going to vote because they don't think it's a rigged system. My vote doesn't count anyway, so I'm not going to. And I just feel like you got to be really sure of yourself to make that argument. Like, if there's a 1% chance that you're wrong, is it not worth voting in case maybe you're wrong about it? It doesn't really take anything from you to go vote.
Yeah. And it's like one vote doesn't matter, but also like I feel better as a person knowing that I did. Like for me, it gives me the feel goods knowing that it's like, what, like at least I did like kind of my part, which makes me feel better. It's like governance issues with this shit. Like, yeah, it may not pass because not enough people voted for your thing to pass, but you know what? At least I tried to make things better. So I can't say I didn't do that.
We do have new proposals open starting today, by the way.
Oh, that's awesome. We should go over them next week.
Yep.
Are you trying to keep it to an hour? Or are you?
I'm gonna wrap here in just a minute. I just noticed that the proposal phases are open. So, I actually, I had a handful of things that were unimportant to talk about, just in case we didn't have anything to talk about. But since Lisa was here, we got through our conspiracy theory hour, which is great. I love when her and I am are both on at the same time. Sometimes it gets really interesting because there's rabbit holes to be had, and they love going down them, and I like it too.
Yeah, they get pretty deep into conspiracy theories, and then fun. I get to say my stupid theory that makes no sense. That's always really fun.
Hey, sometimes it makes just as much sense though, depending on the theory.
That's fair. I don't see anything.
Yeah. Let's throw a couple of reminders out here. What's going on? So LCP, right? Open proposal phase. That's where you can propose a lair if you want one that doesn't exist, and it's also not in the existing list. So that's over in the LCP layer. Tomorrow, we're talking about the one bigger show that we do on Thursdays. We're talking about the war between decentralization and centralization. That'll be interesting because that's I think everyone on that show, there's probably going to be 4 to 7 people, and everyone's kind of on one side of things, right? So it's going to be a bunch of people who generally disagree that we should go towards decentralization. So I don't know if I don't know if we have any pro-centralization people to come on and debate with. So that'll be
bring me on the show. Let's go, baby.
That'll be a one-sided conversation if we don't get you on there.
Everything should be centralized around me.
You gonna be home by then?
What time's the show at?
It's 11 a.m.
on Thursday.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be on a plane.
All right. Well, you'll have to not be there in that case. Go leave a question though. Go leave a pro if you want. go leave a pro centralization topic or a question in that, and you'll get some points for it.
Sounds good.
Other than that, I'll get us out of here. Because the alternative is just to keep droning on for another hour, and I don't want to do that.
I got things to do. I got breakfast to eat.
All right. So talk to people you disagree with. Try to get a base reality starting point. That really helps. I had a point about the fog rockets, but I don't know what it is. So I'll have to leave that in the notes later. Go check out the channel on Odyssey. Give that a follow. What do people say? Like, share, and hit the bell.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. All right.
Notifications.
That's really what I got. I'm gonna wake up some more, drink some more coffee, read some more articles, and I guess I'll see y'all next time. You want to say anything else before I get us out of here?
I think it's important to try to start your day with a positive attitude. You know, it's a lot easier to go downhill than to go uphill.
I like it. The struggle's worth it, though, right? Climb that hill. All right, climb that hill, everyone. Say hi to Hammock Man for me.
Hammock Man.
Oh, it's Jared. What's up? I didn't know who it was.
I'm at Jared's house. Who'd you think was here?
I had no idea. I was like, all right, some hammock guy. Cool. All right, cool. I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Here's a song from Y'all Weird called Enter the Dragon. Take it easy.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.